Okay, so something I loved as a kid were the Rankin Bass Christmas specials. I had the big four on VHS, so Rudolph, Frosty, Little Drummer Boy, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I watched those all the time, every Christmas, and there were a lot more than those four too. And when I was younger, back when Freeform was Fox Family, they used to play the specials throughout the month, and then on Christmas Eve they would just play like all the specials all day long, like as a marathon. It was so awesome. I loved it so much. I was so sad when they stopped doing that. And I've been waiting for years and years, wishing they would just compile them all into one DVD collection. I've been waiting for that for so long. At this point, probably decades. And now it's real. So, of course, I watched them, and if you know anything about this channel, it's that I love to rank things. So, for my special Christmas video, I am going to rank the 18 Rankin Bass Christmas specials. Now, yes, it's only 18. It doesn't include Santa Baby for whatever reason, probably because it was released so much later. Maybe Universal and Warner Bros. Couldn't get the rights to it because it was done with Fox, and now it's done by Disney. I don't know. But anyway, that's the 18 we're going to be ranking. And R2 is here to help me. Been a while. So I'm going to let him call it out. Starting off with number 18. Yeah, Cricket on the Hearth. I don't hate any of these specials. I'm just not as entertained by this one as I am by the others. None of the songs are really super catchy and unforgettable like in other specials. The animation is okay for what it was in the time. But it's just not as enthralling as the other specials. So I have Cricket on the Hearth down here at the bottom, number 18. All right, R2 is what I have at number 17. Yes, Pinocchio's Christmas. So, like I said, this one is just not as entertaining. I mean, I love the Pinocchio Disney movie, so I guess that's kind of what I think when I think of Pinocchio. So when it's not Disney Pinocchio, it doesn't feel like Pinocchio to me. Maybe that would have some sort of unconscious bias about that affecting my ranking. But yeah, I just wasn't as entertained by this one. The songs they're not horrible, but they're not that Rankin Bass magic like in some of the other specials. And also, Pinocchio just seems to never learn in this special. Like the Fox and the Cat sings, Fox saying, if I'm lying, may lightning strike that tree, and the lightning strikes the tree, and Pinocchio still just doesn't get it. So, yeah, it's got some funny moments in it, but there's a lot better specials. All right, R2, what do I have at number 16? Yeah, the first Christmas though. This actually it's pretty decent. It's a nice little story. It's pretty cute. The shepherd boy is struck by lightning. He goes blind, and he's gonna have to end up going to the orphanage because the priest doesn't want to stay at the convent with the nuns, and he's gonna have to leave his sheep, and he's gonna give them to the nuns, and that's the only thing he has of value in the world. He's leaving to them as they get the Christmas love, and then the miraculous snowstorm, and he gets his sight back and everything, and it's a cute little special. It's just not really fantastic. All right, what's next, R2? Yeah, The Stingiest Man in Town. So, of course, Rankin Bass known for doing Christmas specials, so of course they're going to have to do a Christmas Carol because everybody does a Christmas Carol. It's like the most adapted thing ever in history. So, how is it? It's okay for what it is. I mean, there's a lot better adaptations of a Christmas Carol. I think my favorite is the Disney's A Christmas Carol, the anime one, Jim Carrey. That's like the most faithful adaptation I've ever seen of A Christmas Carol. And of course, I love other adaptations too. I mean, I love Mickey Christmas Carol and the like. But yeah, this isn't one of my favorite Christmas Carol adaptations. I mean, I love Rankin Bass and I love A Christmas Carol, but they missed the mark on this one. The songs are pretty forgettable. Animation's not bad, but for example, at the beginning, they leave out the men coming in to collect money for the poor to visit Mr. Scrooge. So they don't visit Scrooge, so he doesn't say the thing. So later on in the special, when the Ghost of Christmas Present is throwing Scrooge's words back in his face, it doesn't really work in this adaptation because he never said them. So it's not being thrown back in his face. Just Ghost of Christmas Present saying like miserly things, but it's not something Scrooge actually said coming back to haunt him, like in the original novel and various other adaptations. But overall, it's a nice little Christmas special. But again, much better Rankin Bass specials, much better adaptations of A Christmas Carol. Okay, what's next? Yeah, Rudolph Shiny New Year. So this is definitely the weakest Rudolph entry. Of course, we got to talk about the problem of continuity in the Rankin Bass cinematic universe, because in the original Rudolph special, he grows up and leaves Santa's sleigh and everything. And this special is supposed to take place right after that, and he's a little kid again because Rankin Bass figured out it's the kid Rudolph that sells all the merchandise. So Rudolph is a kid for the rest of all the Rankin Bass specials. So continuity problems aside, it's not that great. I mean, the songs aren't super great. The stop motion dinosaurs are kind of cute and everything, and then the Baby New Year hanging out with the three bears on the fairy tale island. It's just cute, but it's not super great like the other ones. Yeah, there's the message of let's not always assume people are being cruel. Let's not always jump to the worst conclusion. They think maybe, hey, let's not get so offended over everything and try to go to a charitable explanation for why people do the things they do. But on the other hand, how hard is it really not to laugh at people's physical appearance? I mean, come on. It's like the big lesson is people laugh at New Year's ears, and it's like, oh, it's just because you make them so happy. So it's like, oh, okay. So, but still, it's like, can we just not laugh at people's physical appearances? It shouldn't be that hard. Yeah, that's just my biggest problem with the whole special. So let's move on. What's next? It was the Night Before Christmas. Yes. So this is one has the song that was parodied in that episode of South Park, the Even a Miracle Needs Her Hand. That one episode of South Park where they just straight up lifted it, and Kyle's face even turns into a Rankin Bass face at some point in the song as an homage to it. So yeah. So basically, some non-believing mouse and his friends wrote a letter to Santa Claus saying he's a fraud and doesn't exist and all that. So Santa decides not to visit this town, and then, which is a very un-Santa-like response, to be honest, because he's a saint, so he should be doing good regardless of whether people are being evil to him. It's kind of what he's known for. So this clockmaker comes with this idea to play a special song on the town clock so that Santa realizes, oh, they do believe in him, they love him, so he'll change his mind and visit them. And then same non-believing little mouse messes up the clock, and then he has to fix it, and he fixes it just in time, and Santa hears the song from the clock and comes and visits. So it's a nice little special. Animation style is fairly interesting. In this one, the reindeer kind of look like a combination between mice and dogs in terms of their heads. It's interesting, but much better specials than this one. Next. Okay, Leprechaun's Christmas Gold is actually a fun little special here. It's not too long, so you can knock it out in a half hour, and really it doesn't overstay its welcome. It feels what it needs to do in the allotted time. It's just a fun little story, Christmas in Ireland, the bank trying to steal the Christmas gold, and how they have to stop her from doing that, and the guy falls for her disguise. He didn't notice that, oh, she was crying, that means she's a banshee, and it's too late. But then they manage to stop her just in time, right as the Christmas sun comes up on Christmas morning. It's a fun little special. It plays Christmas in Killarney, which is a nice little song. So, yeah, not fantastic, but not one of the worst ones either. I guess Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. Yeah, this one was actually released as a theatrical movie, not as originally a Christmas special on TV. They would release it later on TV, but it had been released earlier in the year in July as an actual full-length movie in theaters. So, nice thing about this one is it really brings the whole Rankin Bass cinematic universe together. So you have Rudolph and Frosty together, along with the Santa Claus, who was the same Santa in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, a year without a Santa Claus. There's some nice moments in it. Santa Claus and his wife reminiscing about the good times. Even though in that song there's a flashback to them getting married, and it's right outside a church. When we know when Santa Claus is coming to town, they were outlaws, so they couldn't go to church. The forest was their cathedral. That's a line from the actual special. So they kind of messed up on that one. And there's other continuity problems as well. Frosty giving up his hat to Winterbolt to help Rudolph, but that means he can't life, even though in Frosty's Winter Wonderland, Crystal, her love, giving him that flower in his buttonhole for the wedding, and now he can survive without the hat, so they retconned that for some reason. And then Rudolph's nose being a gift from basically a super powerful fairy, and then she dies. Lost of her powers with him, and he loses it because he was tricked into doing something evil, but he gets it back by helping them, and which caused another problem because the amulets that keep the Frosties from melting was supposed to stop if Rudolph got his nose back, and he did get his nose back, but they didn't start melting right away. It wasn't until after Winterbolt was destroyed that the amulet stopped working. So figure that one out. And also, they do the We're a Couple Misfits reprise from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but of course Hermie's not here, so they give Frosty a part in the song, and he starts singing. The problem with this is Frosty was never a misfit. He was nothing but beloved from the day he came to life. So yeah, there's a problem with that. But I do like Winterbolt. Winterbolt's a great villain, even if his plan is overly complicated and kind of stupid. I do think the design is great on him, and I love his sleigh being pulled by snake stuff. I like his ice genie. So yeah, he's a well-designed villain and everything. Yeah, so it has a lot of continuity problems, but it's still a fun little watch. So yeah, Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July at number 11. So what's next? Yes, Frosty's Winter Wonderland. This is a great little special. The whole time by Andy Griffith and Winter Wonderlands, they sing that song in it. I love that song. Story of Frosty getting a wife, and like I mentioned, he learns how to survive without the. Well, he doesn't learn how to survive. He can survive without the hat because of the love of Crystal and all that. So yeah, it builds on the Frosty lore. It's a fun little movie. Introduces us to Jack Frost and how he comes back in Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. Yeah, and it's just a good little special. Super fun. And yeah, not much more to say about that. What we got next? Yeah, Jack Frost is actually a really fun special. I don't think it's going to be considered the same Jack Frost in the larger Rankin Bass universe. Doesn't really seem to, the story doesn't seem to mesh with the Jack Frost we see in Frosty's Winter Wonderland. But regardless, it's a fun little special, and probably do without the Groundhog Day framing device. I don't think really adds much to it. But the story that he's actually telling of Jack Frost is really fun. Jack Frost falling in love with the mortal woman because she says she loves Jack Frost, but of course, as he's mortal, he doesn't have Jack Frost powers anymore. He can't really tell her that he's Jack Frost, and she won't know all that. So he ends up not getting her, but his love for her, he does save her and her family and her fiance, and she gets married, and he learns to accept that and all that. And I love Kubla Kraus. He's an excellent villain. He's hilarious. Anytime government officials are portrayed as the bad guys, I'm all down for that. So yeah, his little metal dummy, he does the voice for a little dummy, an iron horse and everything, his mechanical knives because no human wants to be around him because he's so terrible. Yeah, great villain. Love Kubla Kraus. So Jack Frost at number 9. What's next? Yeah, I love the Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. I know this one gets looked down a lot and was the last special, at least until Santa Baby. But yeah, I think this is really great. I love this alternate origin story. I mean, we have another Santa origin story for Santa Claus and come down. And this one was actually done by L. Frank Baum, the Wizard of Oz guy. So it's more of a fantasy origin story for Santa Claus. And it's a lot of fun. The stop motion's great. I love the designs on the Immortals. The designs on the Aguas are great. I think they just look so menacing. They're great monster villains, and I love the battle between them and the Immortals. That giant dragon, and then the three-eyed monsters and flying creatures, and how the Immortals defeat them. And Ack has his silver axe and just vaporizes the guy with a beam of light. It's great action sequences in terms of stop motion action sequence in the Rankin Bass Christmas titles. So yeah, it's really fun. Not really any memorable songs. That's probably the only weak point in it. But yeah, I love the Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. Solid number 8. Okay, next. Yes, Little Drummer Boy Book 2. Yeah, again, going back to what I said about Kubla Kraus, government officials being the villains. So yeah, in this case, the Roman tax collectors. So which have never been looked upon favorably by anyone anywhere. Go through all the New Testament, and anytime you see tax collector, it's mentioned in negatives. He's with sinners and tax collectors, so it's like, yeah, they're not looked upon too highly. But yeah, and then they take Simeon's silver bells he was going to ring to announce the coming of the Messiah, and how they have to get those back from the soldiers. And Poor Aaron loses the only thing in the world he loved, which is his drum, but it was for something greater, and then he gets another drum, helps lead the people to baby Jesus. It's just a fun little special. Not as good as his predecessor, but still a lot of fun. I love Little Drummer Boy Book 2. All right, only a few left. What's next? Yes, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the one that started it all. It's a classic. Who doesn't know this story? Yeah, little Rudolph the Misfit who ended up saving Christmas, and all the other great characters. Sam the Snowman, voiced by Burl Ives. Yukon Cornelius, he's so great. Hermie the Elf. The Abominable Snow Monster, he's awesome. Great design on that guy. And Yukon Cornelius retains him after Hermie takes out his teeth. It's great. The only problem I have with this special is the Santa in it. This is the worst Santa ever. He is not at all a saint. He's a bully. He shames Donner for having a misfit kid and says, Rudolph, you're going to have to learn to get rid of that if you want to be on my team someday. And he's very complicit in all the bullying. This is not a good Santa. But other than that, solid Christmas classic. Love it. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. All right, now we get into the top 5. What's number 5? Yes, Frosty the Snowman. Who doesn't love Frosty the Snowman? Classic story. Kids build a snowman, the magician's hat brings him to life. Said magician who was a failure wants the hat back because now he knows it would actually do stuff, and then he had to get Frosty to the North Pole so he doesn't melt, and then he melts. Oh no! But Santa comes along and a December wind brings the Christmas snow back to warm Frosty, and it's just fun all around. Great songs, great animation. It's just pure Christmas magic. Frosty the Snowman, number 5. All right, what's 4? Yes, Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey. I love this one. It's Rudolph, but biblical. So this little donkey's a misfit, gets kicked out of his stable after his mom sacrificed her life to save him because the Roman soldiers thought the guy was trying to cheat him with this long-eared donkey, so they take all the donkeys and don't even pay him, so he gets kicked out, but his mom goes out with him and sacrifices her life to protect him from the cold. And then he saves another, as his mother once saved him. It's the Theotokos and St. Joseph the Betrothed need a donkey to get to Bethlehem, and they end up picking Nestor for his kind eyes. And then there's a sandstorm, and you can't see anything, but because of his ears, he can hear the voice of the angels guiding them to where they need to go. So because of Nestor, they get to the inn, and there's no worm at the end, so they end up in the cave, and Theotokos gives birth to the Savior. And it's just a fun little Christmas special. It's pretty short, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It does what it does in the time allotted. It's just a fun, sweet, great little story about the true meaning of Christmas. So 4, Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey. Yeah, The Year Without a Santa Claus. I mean, who doesn't love Heat Miser and Snow Miser? Everybody loves those guys, right? Yeah, this is such a classic. It builds on what we learned in Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's the same Santa, and how he has to deal not only with being sick, but also people not believing in him anymore, and he goes and spreads Christmas cheer, and people decide to give him a day off because he's sick, but he sees how sad some of the children are, so he works through it, and there'll never be a year without a Santa Claus. Even though they gave him the day off, he's going to go and do it anyway. And then, of course, to get that, they had to let it snow in the south, so Snow Miser gets a snow day in the south, and in exchange, Heat Miser gets a sunny day at the North Pole. Only problem is all this stuff gets retconned in the end. It turns out Santa's just having a bad dream. So it's a question of, do Heat Miser and Snow Miser even really exist? I mean, yeah, there was that special made, but that was much later. It wasn't Rankin Bass. It was a spin-off, so I'm not really counting it. And if we do say that that the Miser brothers were just part of Santa's dream, it would make a lot more sense in terms of like being able to fit Jack Frost into the universe, because then he's the one doing the snow stuff, not Snow Miser, and he works for Father Winter and everything. So if Snow Miser and Heat Miser were just a dream, then yeah. But if not, then yeah, Jack Frost can't work in the broader universe. But yes, it's great special. Love it. Year Without a Santa Claus at number 3. All right, top 2. What's number 2? Yes, The Little Drummer Boy. This is all-time classic. Love it. Based on a great carol. It's just so great. Poor Aaron lost his parents in such a horrible act. They were murdered by bandits who killed his parents, burned down his farm, so he was left abandoned alone with the 3 animals they weren't able to take that he managed to escape with. And then Ben Hur basically kidnaps him, makes him perform as part of his troop, and they meet the 3 magi who need another camel, so Ben Hur sells Joshua the camel as one of Aaron's only friends in the world, so they follow along with the king so they get Joshua back. And then some Roman charioteer runs over Baba, his lamb, and so says, "What can you do?" And the wise man tells him, the babe can help you. And so he doesn't have a gift, so he plays his heart out at just a gift of pure love, and it's accepted, and his Baba is healed, and they're all back together. It's just such a heartwarming story. It's just Christmas magic. It's great. I love The Little Drummer Boy. Solid number 2. All right, one left. What is the best Rankin Bass Christmas special, R2? Yes, Santa Claus is coming to town. This is my absolute favorite Christmas thing ever. So, first thing we gotta talk about, the mailman's truck is awesome. I love that thing. I loved that thing as a kid. I was like obsessed with that. I wanted one of those so bad. I thought it was so cool with the skis in the front and the tread tires. Awesome snow machine. I think that would be so cool to have a real one. And yeah, the rest of the movie is so great too. The songs are so great. Not just Santa Claus is coming down, but put one foot in front of the other, and it's a difficult responsibility. Just great music. Villain's a government official, so yeah, props for that. Super libertarian Christmas special. Great origin story for Santa. Why he's called Kris Kringle. Why he was also called Santa Claus. Does it all together. How the Kringles became his elves and making the toys. Why they do all that. Just fantastic origin story. I love Winter Warlock, his story of repentance and redemption. It's just so great. This is just the single best Christmas special from Rankin Bass of all time. It's my favorite Christmas movie, period. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed that. That's my little Christmas video for y'all. The collection is available. I would recommend buying it. You'll have a great December from now on if you do. Yeah, so tell me what your ranking is. Comment below, like, subscribe, ring the bell, share, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you later. Bye.